If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. I know as you have ongoing interactions with those narcissistic individuals in your life, it can sometimes be a bit difficult for you to acknowledge these are, after all, still human beings. In fact, that it's all the more difficult to go into that space when you realize that they actually dehumanize you. The less they see your legitimate needs and feelings, and the more they feel the right to act in all the inappropriate ways that they do toward you. But nonetheless, narcissists do have valid desires. They have valid longings and yearnings and needs. The difference, though, between unhealthy people and healthy people is how we go about trying to get those needs and desires met. In the narcissistic way of being, there's like a dark and shadowy cloud that comes over them as they try to engage with life and try to satisfy those valid and legitimate desires and needs. A pessimism has overcome the narcissist, and it infiltrates the way that they engage with you. It infiltrates the way that they think about the world in front of them, and even how they think about themselves, to the extent that they wind up having all sorts of inappropriate and unnecessary attitudes that guide them. In that darkness that overcomes them, they become very pessimistic, and they bring that pessimism to you. They ultimately wind up having sinister and scheming kinds of motives toward you. They become manipulators, and they show a lack of regard. And down at the farthest extreme, this darkness can take them to the point of even evil motives in some cases. Now, what I want to do is I want to go through some of the valid desires that narcissists would have. And by the way, these are some of the valid desires that you have too. But I want you to see how this darkness causes them to take that validity and turn it into something that it was never intended to be. For example, it's a very well-known thing that any person, including that narcissist, wants to have love and acceptance. That's a natural desire that we have. Narcissists, though, in their darkness, they've concluded, I'm not real sure I'm going to be on the receiving end of love in the way that I wish that it could be. They have a sense of pessimism about that. They wonder if they actually are going to be included. And so they don't just have a desire for love. They develop this deep hunger, these hunger pangs, if you will, for affirmation. They are very needy in the way that they approach you. Of course, they won't come across and say, hey, I'm needy, but they operate with a real strong codependency. They feed very heavily off of you. Now, many of them come across in a very overbearing and controlling kind of way, and so they'll say, codependent, that's not me. And the answer is, oh, yes, it is. This explains why they have such a strong need for narcissistic supply. And the net result, when they don't have that love and acceptance as they wish it to be, because they go into such a dark space about it, the net result is there's going to be a lot of narcissistic injury that they struggle with. They wind up having a woundedness that they bring to you and to the relationship. Or a second natural desire that we can have is we all want to have a certain amount of favored treatment. And when I say favored, I don't mean in a haughty kind of way, but it's nice to know that somebody holds you in higher regard, that you're special to someone, and someone says, hey, I'd like to make your life go a little bit better because of my presence there with you. We like that. It's kind of like when I used to go home from college and my mother would have my favorite banana cream pie or something like that. You're in a favored position. You understand what I'm saying? Narcissists, however, in their sense of that sense of darkness that comes over them, it's like, I don't know that that's going to happen to me, but it had better. And so they develop this attitude of entitlement. Instead of saying, well, I want to have a certain favored position, it's like, no, I deserve anything and everything the world out there offers to me. And if I see something over there that you have that goes on nice, I want it for me. And they want to be second to no one because they have this fear that if they don't remind people of how special they are, it's not going to happen. That's that darkness. That's that pessimism that they carry with them. And the net result, when that is not satisfied, is envy. It's something they struggle with greatly. Or another thing that we all desire, and that is you want to feel appreciated for the achievements that you have. Every one of us in some way or another has performances. We have things or tasks that we want to commit, whether it's in the world of work or the things we do around the house or how we help out one another in our social settings. The narcissist is like, yeah, I want to be known for my achievements, but again, it's like, I don't know if anybody really is going to appreciate what I bring to the equation. So in their darkness and then that sense of pessimism and their sinister motives, they think, no, I don't want to just be appreciated for my achievements. I need to be superior. And I need to make sure you know that I'm superior. And so they have a consistent attitude of one-upmanship over you. They turn the relationships in front of them into competitions. They're not secure enough to think, well, why don't we just go ahead and do things as we will, and we'll acknowledge each other based on our own merits. No, they can't do that. Their darkness won't allow them. And as a result, if you don't go along with their schemes in that regard, then condescension becomes more and more prominent in the way that they engage. Or another desire that we have. We all want to have a certain amount of order, organization. We want to have a certain predictability about how things are going to be. If you say you're going to do something, then you want it to be followed through. You want to have, a schedule and things like that that can be predictable. And so that's a very normal desire that we have. Narcissist is like, I don't know what the world in front of me is going to give me. And again, that pessimism. And that sinister kind of thought that they have about you people out there don't care. So what they do is they go into the high control mode. I know I'm going to make sure that I force feed to you what my needs are. I'm going to make sure that you have this agenda that I have very carefully crafted, and you're going to hear about it. And so they come across in a very strong and overbearing way to the extent that they overlook your need to have free choice. It's like, no, we're going to just bypass that. And they just go straight into the harshness, get inside my mold. We're not going to sift out options. I tell, I don't discuss. Now, the net result that comes with that is when they don't feel like you're catching on to that, they go into a heavy criticism mode. And I'm sure that you know that there's much criticism that you're going to expect when you're with that person. Or yet another normal and healthy desire that we have is we want to feel significant. We want to feel like we have a place within our groups, within one relationship, within the community. But in other words, we want to feel like we have significance. Narcissists, however, have this attitude of haughtiness. It's like, well, I want to be significant, but I need you to know that there's hardly anyone that knows more and deserves more than me. And so they turn that craving for significance into haughtiness. And to them, significance, it becomes a zero-sum game. If I give you significance, that takes away from my significance, and they can't think that way. And so when they don't receive the significance from you, then discard becomes what they have to offer. They go straight into the rejection mode. Well, you didn't give me what I want. Or another normal desire that we all have. We want to have social connections. And social connections consist of you knowing me and me knowing you and us having a sense of what it takes to you scratch my back and I scratch my back, a sense of mutuality. The narcissist in their darkness, it's like, I can't really count on the fact that you're going to connect with me just based on my own merits. And so I insist on you conforming to me. They don't want that free choice again. We're going to be connected as long as you give me the transactions that I want. And so when that doesn't happen, then the net result there is they go back to that wounded feeling that I mentioned again. I didn't get what I wanted. In addition, they want to feel understood. And that's desirable. I mean, that's normal. We all desire a feeling of understanding. You may have heard the old saying, the best way to receive understanding is to give understanding. And it's like, no, I think that if I give understanding, then that's going to set me up to be taken advantage of. That's the darkness they live under. And as a result, they have no empathy for other individuals. You're supposed to empathize and read their mind and know. And so the net result there is they go heavy into a coercive kind of mode. Another desire that they have is they have a desire for minimal conflict. I was going to say, who likes conflict? You saw me hesitate. Narcissists actually can thrive on conflict. But we like to know that there's going to be a smoothness between you and me. And even as we differ, that we can have a sense of give and take. The narcissist is like, no. When conflict comes along, I don't think that you're going to listen to me very well at all. They've had a history of being on the receiving end of rage and rejection. And so in their mind, it's like when conflict shows up, what you're going to get is aggression. That's what I do, and that's what I bring to the equation. And if that doesn't work out well for them, then they go into their place of bitterness and resentment and unforgiveness. And so you see that we all have desires. The narcissist has a desire, many desires, and they're legitimate. But because of that pessimism they bring, and because of their sense of negativity that's just so embedded in them, they can't respond to their desires in a normal kind of way. It goes into a very difficult kind of a pattern for them, and the net result is you lose when you're trying to connect with them. You see, let's underscore two very significant thoughts, and that is we're all alike. We all have needs. We all have desires. We all have yearnings. But then a second thought is, but we're each unique. In the midst of our similar desires and goals, we can have different styles of going about and coming to terms with those desires and needs. People who have a healthy approach towards life and a healthy sense of their desires recognize that there's an interconnectedness there. And narcissists have never learned how to have that connected spirit. They have a sense of paranoia. They don't trust well, and they have a deep embedded insecurity that drives them. So I'm hoping that you see when they show themselves to have these needs and desires, but then they do so in this harsh and overbearing way, you realize this is about what's going on in an unfinished way on the inside of themselves. They'll try to make it all about you. You're not giving me what I want. You're not giving me my desires. But make no mistake, these are individuals who have such a beginning point of pessimism that they're broken people who simply do not know how to manage relationships well. And as a result, you're going to have to adjust your expectations of your relationship with them accordingly. I hope that videos such as this give you some good insight about what you're dealing with. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so that we can keep more videos coming your way. There's a notification bell there. In addition, I know that as you engage with these people, particularly on an ongoing basis, a need for therapy may arise. And if that's the case, we have a sponsor, and they provide online therapy. And I've received very good feedback from individuals who've gone this path. There's a link below so that if you have a desire to go through a therapeutic process with someone, there are licensed professional counselors that you can choose from that can help sift this out with you. And I would encourage you to take advantage of that if the need is there. In addition, I put together courses, and these are extensive courses. This is Me, which is about setting boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. And there are multiple videos and teaching points and then questions. It's meant to have a very ongoing therapeutic kind of thing. It takes time for you to go through that. And so I would encourage you to look into that. We have my books and other resources. Know that when you're dealing with narcissists, you're dealing with people who have a darkness that's over them. And rather than them saying that, they try to put everything onto the people in front of them, and in doing so, they fail to come to terms with what they're carrying on the inside of themselves. But I hope that as you're able to see it, you're going to say, you know what, I'm unhooking from that. It's not my responsibility to make you a non-pessimistic person. Instead, I'm going to be committed to my own sense of healthiness, which is going to take me to my place of peace.